This episode is brought to you by our wonderful, wonderful patrons.
Thank you to Amy, Eliza, Sky, Jordan, Gina, Theo, Bunny, Nicholas, Jess, Valerie, Sasha, Sky, Eve, Cassidy, Mariah, Raven, Abby, Gio, Emily, and Hadley.
Thank you. We love you so, so much.
Your support means the world. Thank you so much.
Greetings, guys, girls, non-binary pals, and welcome back to the SavvyCat Podcast. I'm Savvy.
I'm Kat.
And that is why we're the SavvyCat Podcast, because we were creative children who decided to start a movie company with a creative name.
Yeah.
A lot of you are new here. Since our last episode, our audience has increased by times 3. No, more than that.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. So thank you.
Yeah. So we also, on a note, I also want to apologize for not having a podcast up last week. There was a lot of things going on, a lot to do with how much we have grown and Sav has grown over the past 2 weeks, and also I finally am moving.
Yes.
It's official now. I'm officially moving to the UK on Friday.
It's fucking mental. That's that's something that we want to talk about is that's what this episode's going to be. Yeah. Everything that's happened and how everything is both incredible, but yet our mental health is struggling. Because these are important things to acknowledge. And today is World Mental Health Day, while we're filming, not while you're watching.
Exactly.
But yeah, so to start off with is, huge thank you for coming over here. Genuinely. We appreciate it so much, and we're glad that you're enjoying the podcast.
It really means a lot that you guys are being so supportive and so lovely and kind, and I love reading the comments and stuff. It feels really nice that you guys are enjoying what we're saying, and that it's helping you guys. That's the biggest gift that we could ever receive. So thank you.
And we've had a lot of people asking if we're going to put it on Spotify. And when Kat moves, we are. Because I, with my first lot of YouTube money, which is exciting, I bought a microphone. A good, proper one. And so when Kat's here, we can both use my fucking microphone.
Exactly.
And then we can put it on Spotify. And then you can listen to it on your way to school.
Exactly. I'm excited to make the logo for the Spotify thing. It's going to be awful. It's going to fit our aesthetic for our channel. It's going to have the worst pic art, the worst word art you could possibly imagine. I'm going to have a lot of fun making it.
Oh, God. I love it. I'm so excited to see it. Oh, God. Yeah. But, it's been the past few weeks has been two of the most phenomenal weeks of my entire life. But with that comes so much stress. It's been so polarizing because literally my entire life has worked up to this. So a lot of you are obviously here from my channel, which now has 125 fucking thousand subscribers. And that happened in 2 weeks. And that's a lot to process. And Kat comes with me on that ride. We share this together. We would call every fucking day and just every time I uploaded and just stare at my numbers being like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, so that's how women's bodies work. That day, we both cried. It was overwhelming.
Since this is, something that I've wanted to do for literally forever, having it happen is and with my mental health, I have BPD, which means I have trauma from severe abandonment issues. And on this scale, I kind of have this huge fear that it's all just going to disappear overnight. And that is a lot of pressure for me, and I understand that that's not what's going to happen. I know that you all love me, and I'm not going to lose 125,000 subscribers overnight. But I've convinced myself that I will, and so I needed to take a break to be able to try process that. And then with Kat, she's got the stress now of sorting out her visa, and now fucking finally moving.
I know. Yeah, I have a lot of things with, like, I don't know. I've had a lot of trouble recently because I have OCD, and a lot of that has to do with I need to feel in control of things a lot. And I have a really hard time letting things be in other people's hands. So during the moving process, and especially moving countries process, you need to rely on other people to, like, approve things or wait for things to go through. And that was so much for me to accept, that literally my life and my well-being was in the hands of other people. So I needed to process that a lot.
Yeah, and we sort of were both, you know, we hated not doing it, especially since there's so many of you who are new here. We didn't want, like, your first experience on our channel to not get a podcast, but we thought it was better to prioritize our health. Like, we've been doing this this is like, what, 21? That's like almost half a year, which is fucking wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this thing of, like, you need to acknowledge that, you know, even if life is going, like, good and you've got good shit happening, like, you still can have depression.
Yeah.
So, like, oh man, but I'm all over the place. My mental health is whack at the moment. I'm so out of whack. I feel every single emotion at every single given time, and I'm very much struggling to keep my brain in one place. But so I'm not staying on a line. Please ignore me doing this. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
But I think that's important. Like, I think it's really important to acknowledge, like you said, we didn't want to take the week out. But I felt like it was really, really important for us to do that. So not only for us to take time and admit that we needed to take care of ourselves, and take the time to admit that we're not having a good time at the moment, and acknowledge that and deal with it. Because it would have been really easy to just go, oh, everything's fine, everything's perfect, I can keep going, when in reality we couldn't. But also, like, taking this break, I think it was important for the both of us to realize that we can take breaks, and that if we took a break and we came back, then everything would still be there. And that's actually true. And I think that's really important for everybody to do, is to realize that just because you take a breather, that you will still be able to go back into it. Because I think we all have this fear of, like you said, like, I'm going to focus on something else for a bit, and then once I get back to what I really care about, it's all going to be gone. Just because I didn't spend a week or a day or a minute thinking about it, it's going to be all gone, and it's going to be my fault, when that's not how it works. And I think we need to remind ourselves that, like, things happen because life led us there, and because we took the steps to get us there. And if it happens once, it's not gonna A, go away immediately, or B, it's not gonna remove the possibility of it's never gonna happen again, you know?
Yeah, and I think, you're very good at articulating. I'm not.
Valid. Very valid. Just, with Mental Health Day, I think it's really important to, even if it's not Mental Health Day, when you're seeing it, pretend that it is for a second, because every day should be Mental Health Day.
Every day is Mental Health Day.
If you're going through a time in life where either things are going really, really good, or really, really bad, or even just in the middle, and you're feeling things that other people might not think are rational or reasonable, or you don't even think is rational or reasonable, but you're still feeling that, it's valid. It's completely valid and important that you feel these things. I mean, one of the things that you learn really early on in therapy is that there's no such thing as a bad emotion. Yeah. There's no such thing as a bad emotion. There is just emotions that you feel and that you have to deal with accordingly. And I think we get into this mindset of like when we're having a happy time, but we still feel anxious or depressed or afraid during those times. I think we get into the mind space of we start to feel really guilty about it. We're like, I'm not treating this right. I'm not dealing with this correctly. And I feel like I'm betraying this special moment. And because of that, it's going to end up 10 times worse.
You know what a good example of that being true is? Inside Out.
Exactly.
When the whole movie, happiness is like, sadness, don't you dare! And then they figure out that memories are so important to have, like, both emotions, and it's okay to be sad on good days. That movie is so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so validating. Like, yeah. And I mean, especially, like I said, like, I'm in the prime of my fucking life right now in terms of how everything is going. I, right now, have pretty much everything I've ever wanted in a lot of ways. Yet I have more anxiety now than I've had in years because there's more pressure, and that is completely valid. And I feel guilty for being anxious because I'm like, but I should, be ecstatic and I shouldn't be having these negative emotions. And then feeling bad about having those emotions makes everything worse. And that sent me into a bit of depression. And it's like, just because I'm happy doesn't mean my anxiety and my depression cease to exist. And those emotions are valid. If you pull yourself out and you look at it, it's like, of course I have it. Of course I'm feeling anxious. I have over 100,000 people watching me. And I have to like make things and make people happy, but I also need to find the balance and make myself happy. And then when you're in a high, even small upsetting things feel so much bigger because you're like, no, just let me have it. And the anticipation of having a down is sometimes turns into just being a down, which is terrible. It's so frustrating, but I understand. I mean, I've had therapy for a long time, so I'm more capable of pulling myself out and looking from the outside into like, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling sad in a good part of my life? And being able to look at the reasons and being like, well, that there makes sense as to why I'm sad. And it feels extra sad because, we just talked about that. And that's okay.
Yeah. It really is. I remember this one time, and this might not make a lot of sense, but I remember this one time, my mum and I went to Disney Sea. It's a theme park in Tokyo.
I really wanted to go to that.
It was on Halloween, and we got all dressed up. It was one of the days we were allowed to dress up as the characters in Disney. Because usually you're not allowed to do that, because they have...
Just so shit.
They have
so
paid
stupid
actors and stuff like that to dress up. So you're not technically, if you're past the age of like 7, you're not allowed to dress up. But on Halloween, you are allowed to. And my mom and I made costumes. I was Snow White and she was the evil stepmother. And we were so excited. And it was one of the best days I've ever had. And it was typhoon season. And we had a typhoon on that day. And it was pouring down with rain all day, and 90% of the rides were closed. We couldn't even go outside without, when the wind is going so fast that you can't breathe. Like, it was that kind of weather. And basically what we did is we just stayed in the Little Mermaid section the entire day because it was underground and it was like 2 rides and you didn't have to go outside. And I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated because I was like, this day is perfectly ruined. But I was also having a good day, It was like I was in the happiest place in the world. And I was still like, but it's raining. And I think it's, now that I'm past that day, I remember it extremely, extremely fondly. Because I'm like, no one else has ever had that experience before. And I value...
And you're not going to have it again, either. Yeah.
And I think that it's important to remember that that day wouldn't have been so special if I wasn't disappointed. Like, it makes no sense. But I think it's really important to feel everything that you are in the time that you're feeling it, just so you can experience it. Because if you aren't experiencing the anxiety and the fears and stuff like that, it almost doesn't feel real. It's like that's not how life is. That's not how being a person is. It's like there's no such thing as when you're writing stories, right? There's that mountain that they give you in primary school of like, there's a beginning and then it goes up to the hill, which is the climax, and then there's the drop. Everybody's seen that. Fucking mountain. Top mountain. But that's how things go, whether or not it's like a day or a week or your entire life. It's like there's a build up and then there can be a climax and there's a drop and then there can be a second climax maybe or whatever. But we often criticize stories for not being, like characters and stuff like that, for not being realistic. Because they're only one tone, you know? Or because a happy moment is so happy that it doesn't have anything attached to it. And you can't have felt this happiness without the beginning, if that makes sense.
Well, it's like what I was saying about, like, you know, small things. Like, if you're in a high, the, like, things that make you feel really down, if you weren't in that high, would not affect you as badly. Sort of situation. The circumstances affect how you feel things completely. Like the rain, that typhoon would have not been so bad if you weren't at Disney.
Exactly.
So it all depends on circumstance, how you feel about different things, and they're going to affect you differently depending on where on the mountain you are. So, like, because when you're at the top, it's a lot further to go to get down, isn't it? So, like, somewhere, like, in the middle of the mountain, if you're in the middle of the mountain, it's just going to feel normal. But if you're at the top, that's a big fall, man.
Yeah.
It is completely based on context, and everyone feels things differently. Like, sometimes your down is not going to be someone else's, and that's totally fine. And the way you experience things comes from the way you've experienced things in the past. So, like, your anxiety makes sense because something in the past has impacted you in a way that makes you feel anxious in that situation, whereas other people have not had that experience. Or your emotions just sit at a different level. Like, I have BPD, as I said, where it means, like, the other term for it is emotional dysregulation, which means my emotions are on a fucking wire. And it's so easy for me to go one way or the other. I take medication for it, so it doesn't happen as much anymore. But, like, a lot of people don't have that. And so, of course, I'm going to feel things differently to other people. And then there's, like, people with depression where it's like, you know, you have depression and you feel things differently because you're fucking depressed, man. It's like you're gonna experience life differently to everyone. And two people with anxiety are going to experience things differently too, because there are different things that make you anxious. And it's other people telling you that your emotions are stupid is so stupid.
Yeah.
Because they don't fucking know. They're not inside your brain. They can't tell you how you feel. Only you know how you feel.
Yeah, there's this one thing happening on TikTok at the moment that pisses me off. Like, it makes me so angry. People are gatekeeping trauma now. Yeah.
Are they?
Like, people are like, I had a traumatic experience and now I experience things differently. And people were like, your traumatic experience was that you were left alone in a supermarket once. Don't try and talk about it. It's like, A, you have no fucking idea who this person is. You don't know their life. You don't know who they've been. That's really invalidating. And B, even if it drastically changed their life and how they saw things, that's still fucking valid.
Some shit on TikTok makes me so
it's
mad.
Like if someone is experiencing pain after a situation, even if you don't think it's bad, it's still valid, it's still pain. You can't say someone isn't experiencing pain or experiencing trauma or experiencing fear if they're feeling it, you know?
It's so easy to invalidate yourself in those situations too. Like, when you look at your trauma and you're like, well, my trauma's not as bad as that person's, so I'm over-exaggerating. Like, I've seen people who've had trauma that I would arguably say is worse than mine, yet my response to it is more drastic than theirs. And then I feel guilty because I'm like, but they've managed to deal with it so much better than me. But their trauma is worse, so why do I have any right to feel like this? And that's so stupid. And I covered that a lot in therapy, with my therapist being like, yeah, but you're not the same person. You have different responses to it, and like, that's totally okay. And it's really hard, man.
Hard. Yeah.
It's so hard. And like, I saw fucking, oh my god, in Anthony Padilla's video, where he was like talking to survivors of kidnapping, and one of them, it sounded so terrible. She'd been kidnapped for like 3 days, and she's like, a response I get from people is, oh, well, that's not that bad. It wasn't that long. And I'm like, bro, this person was kidnapped and chained to a floor for 3 days. What do you mean? Oh, it can't have been that. It's not that bad. It wasn't very long. Bro!
I honestly think that like people responding that way are scared. I think honestly that kind of gut reaction is them going, oh, I could survive that if I was in that position. I'm sure that, because their brain is going, if I was put in that situation, I'm going to force myself to survive that. But it's like, bro.
That kind of reminds me, that's like the same sort of mindset as fucking people being like, billionaires earned their money because they're like, I have $100,000. One day I can be a billionaire. It's like, shut the fuck up. No, you're not going to be. You are much closer to being homeless than you are to being a billionaire. Yeah. Sit down. It's the same sort of thinking there. It's like putting yourself in that position to make yourself feel strong. I guess I'm fucking. I hate people.
Yeah, I guess the whole point of this rant. Sorry, I just kicked the table. That was probably loud. The whole point of this rant is just to say that if you're feeling something, then you're feeling it. Like, it's valid. It's important that you recognize your emotions and that you understand them and that you deal with them, no matter what they are, no matter whether it's happiness or sadness or fear or anxiety or depression or anything. If you are feeling it in that moment, that is valid. That is valid.
And like, pushing it away is just going to make it worse. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be there. It's just going to come back harder. So, like, pushing it to the back of your mind, as easy as it is, not dealing with it doesn't deal with it, and it's going to come back. You don't get rid of it until you work through it. It's going to stay.
And with that,
it's gonna stick
you should be taking breaks, and you should be taking time to because I do this thing, and I know Sav does it well as well. We interpret our breaks as doing something else we were procrastinating on. So we're like, oh, I need a break from filming a video. I guess I'll draft something else. No. That's not what a break is. You good?
Sorry, my phone was like dying, and I'm like, no, you're not dying. You're staying very much alive. So I've done that.
Yeah, a break is taking time to breathe. That is what a break is. A break is sitting down and going, I am feeling something. Let me feel it. That is what a break is. It is taking time to care for yourself, and whether that be literally anything. Watching TV, sitting in your room, crying. That's
crying is
I
great.
fully support crying.
You do have to, like, watching TV and shit is good as long as you are actually, you confront your emotions first. Do that as like a self-care after you deal with your emotions, because watching TV to suppress your emotions is not a break. That's not a break.
If you're investing in a television program in order to not deal with your thoughts and emotions, that is still work. You're still working.
You're working and hiding your emotions. Not okay. Bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, on some days getting out of bed feels really hard, and on other days it's easy, and just different days, different things are going to feel different, and you just have to acknowledge that. And on the days where like getting out of bed feels hard, make sure you say, hey, I got out of bed. And then on days where it's easy but like doing your work is hard, say, hey, I did my work. And then some days life's going to be fine and you're going to be able to do everything, and you still at the end of the day say, fucking I did a good job today.
If you have good days and great days, that doesn't mean you're not allowed to have the next day a bad day, and it doesn't mean that the previous bad day was not important. Because if you have a really good productive day today, amazing, awesome, that's fantastic. If you immediately compare it to the previous day, I don't think that's very healthy, because yesterday was not today. There were different circumstances, there were different emotions that you were feeling. They're not comparable, and they're both equally as valid and equally as important. That's my thought, though.
Without broccoli, how can you enjoy chocolate? I will always think about that whenever we do the, like, without pain, how would we know joy?
Yeah.
That book shaped me so much. I can't believe how much of my life was that book. A lot. I read it 8 times in a year.
The amount of plane trips and holidays that you spent dedicated to the Fault in Our Stars.
Bro, I know. Well, it's interesting because it's like I was never a big reader, except for 1 year. I read so many books just in the course of a year, and then I never fucking read again.
Reading. I'm so upset about it, because I used to be... everybody knows this.
Yeah.
It's my biggest shame.
Yeah.
That I used to... Yeah, fair.
Sorry, that just made me get Taylor Swift stuck in my head. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I used to be so into reading. I read so much, and then when I got depressed, I didn't read anymore.
Sorry, this is really irrelevant, but I've noticed that we're both just fucking can't sit still to save our lives.
I'm sorry.
Can you tell that we have anxiety? Kat, we've both been just like rocking this whole time, and I didn't even realize. And I'm playing with clay as well.
No.
Because I can't sit still. I have to do something with my hands.
Yeah.
And I'm either shaking or rocking. And right now it's rocking. Oh no.
But I'll be on Spotify, really so you guys cannot see this anymore.
You could just not see us messing around with my knee in front of me.
I have everything in boxes right now, and they're making excellent footstools. Yeah. This is the only thing boxes are needed for.
It was like last week, when I was watching my subscriber count go up to fucking 100k. I was lying in bed after it happened, because I was like, oh my god, I need to lie down. And I had my laptop on my chair, and I had my foot on my chair, and I was just like spinning my chair, and Kat was like, what the fuck is going on?
So it was just, my view was just like that.
She was just getting a pan of my room, because I was like rocking my foot on the chair. I can't sit, it's so funny, because like I always forget to do thumbnails for my videos. And
which reminds me.
So then I have to go through. We've not done a single thumbnail for this podcast. No. But I have to go through all my footage, the whole fucking footage, and try find a moment where I sit still. But I always forget to do it while I'm editing, so it's after I've cut out all the moments where I'm sitting still, and I have to go through, and I do this with my hands so much that my hand is just always moving. There's no moments where I'm sitting still, and it can take me up to an hour to find a fucking photo of me not moving.
See, this is where I'm in victory mode, and I'm not going to do any more videos showing my face on my channel. So I don't have to think about that anymore. Big brain.
So sorry, I keep yawning. I haven't slept for too long. Man, yeah, Kat's new videos. You need to.
They're almost done. It's just my goal for the channel is more like analytical, like video essays. I just need to find the footage for the video essays, and it takes so long. But it's good. It's really fun. I'm really enjoying it now.
I feel like you need to like stockpile them. So if you have like three ready to go, and then you keep working on one, then you're not gonna.
Yeah.
Then you only need to make one every 2 weeks. If you start with 3 and you release them every 2 weeks or whatever, really even every week. Yeah. Thank you. I am a genius.
You guys just have to wait for me to make 3 first. So.
The J in my name stands for genius. You do have a J in your name.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
I do. Yeah. And it stands for genius. They don't
understand where the J is. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, my name is. I have a long. Yeah. My name. I have 2 middle names. But you're never gonna know what it is.
You can live in panic over that.
My name is great. Your name is boring, but it's really interesting because your name ties to my mother.
I know
very well, but your last name too, because that's the school that my mom went to. So Kat's middle name is my mom's last name, and her last name is the name of the school that my mother attended, and my sister went there for daycare, and my dad taught there, and that's Kat's last name. So her whole name is just tied to my family. It's real weird. Yeah. I can't believe you're moving here next Friday. To put this in perspective, by the way, me and Kat we met coming up a decade ago. So 2011, we've talked about this before in other videos. And we, about 2-3 months into our friendship, we planned, like literally we'd known each other 2 months. And we had made this plan that one day we were going to move to London together and get an apartment. And we've been planning it since then. Like, because we both went through spouts of just like severe depression, right? Like terrible depression. And the thing that got us through that was
literally
planning. It was literally, we would say to each other, like, one day we're going to have an apartment in London. We've got to hold on. You've got to get there because one day we're going to have an apartment in London.
The hardest moments of our fucking lives.
Mm-hmm. On days where it's like, you know, like just not wanting to be alive anymore, that's what we would say to each other. It's open up a Google Doc, write down things you want in our apartment in London. Like, remember, you know, we were like 14. It's like, we've got 4 years. It's taken a little bit longer than we'd anticipated. It was like, we've got a few more years until we can leave home and we can go to London and we can get an apartment together. And next week, Kat is moving to London and we're going to start looking at apartments. We have been planning this for a decade. And like, yeah, like literally this moment, our whole fucking lives, like everything we've done in this past decade has been building up to this, which is another reason why I guess like our mental health is so strange at the moment, because like,
I know,
what next? what do we do? Where do we, like, I'm doing, you know, the job I've always wanted to do. I'm moving in with my best friend in London that we've been planning to do for a decade.
No, we can't.
What?
Yeah. Once I get a publishing deal, it's over. Like, locking out.
We've just... I it's like we can't. It's so phenomenally overwhelming. It's stressing. It's stressful because it's like
that's why I was so.
We're terrified that it's not going to work. Right? Like, it's so scary.
That's why I was so stressed about not getting my visa and stuff like that. It's like I was legitimately thinking like, oh, well, that's over. I'm never going to be able to do that. Nice seeing you all. Thanks. Oh.
Yeah. And like the way that it's been so close for so long that it's like,
this is not a good.
Bro, I'm gonna fucking cry.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like not sinking. She booked her flights yesterday. She got her visa. She booked her flights fucking yesterday, and like it's not gonna feel real until ever. I don't know, man. We're gonna go look at apartments. We're gonna move in, and we're gonna just sit on the floor. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, we're moving into like a furnished. We're not gonna buy our own furniture. So we're only looking at furnished apartments because we can't afford to buy furniture. But we're still gonna sit on the floor because that's what they do in TV.
Bringing my camera and filming it. So you can have.
Yeah.
Look forward to.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like you should. It's just so, and I mean that's another thing, right? Like I feel like I don't want to say to everyone, you know, your all your dreams will come true, but take us as an example of like we did not know when we were 14. We did not know if we were going to make it to our 20th birthdays, right? And now we're coming up 21 and literally everything we fucking dreamed of is coming true, and yet we still have depression. So, you know, your dreams can come true, but you're still gonna be sad sometimes.
Exactly.
And that's okay. Because you get you know how to handle it, and you know that you can get through it a lot better. Right? Like, urges and thoughts still so shit, but they're so much easier to get through, and they become less frequent in a way.
Yeah.
They feel different. True. They do be hitting different. They do be hitting different though. But like what I mean is that, you know, you can be in such a dark place, and it's so hard. It takes so much work to get through. But you can like you can achieve shit that you want to. You just have to keep going and take care of yourself on those days that are hard. And like I say, like even when your life is great, enjoy the moments that are great and also acknowledge the parts that aren't, because that's what life is, and it sucks sometimes. But that's how it be, you know? But like literally, like I know a bunch of people who watch us do struggle with mental health. A lot of you are quite, you know, in high school struggling with mental health, and we understand. We not exactly what you're going through, obviously. We all experience things differently, as we've said. But please, like, you know, I know that hearing... Yeah. Yes. And I know that, like, hearing the it gets better thing can sometimes, you know, it's hard to take on. You don't believe it. And I understand that. We completely understand that. Just know that, you know, it can.
Every day you live is...
It can.
A huge celebration that you're alive.
You have...
Even every... Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cake every day. Sorry.
Let's do it. Fuck yeah. Absolutely.
Having like a really powerful moment where we just eat cake. That's what.
No, it's over. Moment ruined.
Sorry.
Forgot what I was saying.
Emotional speech.
Basically,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Remember to celebrate yourself and acknowledge what you've come from. And it's also that thing of, on bad days, because you move, it kind of goes like this, right? But like you're going up and down, but I feel like a lot of it is like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And when you get really far, if you fall back a lot, you feel like you've gone all the way back to the start. And it's really important to look back. Like sometimes I feel really, really down and really, really awful, and I struggle to get out of bed and life just feels like shit. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm back to this point in my life where it's just so low. And I'll look back to when I was like 14, 15, and I'm like, oh, wow, I've come a long way since then. And in that moment, I'll feel like I'm as bad as I was back then, because it's bad in comparison to what I normally, on like a normal day.
That it is. My
but
mom
it's
refers it to a pendulum swing.
I've come so far.
So it's like you start off here and you swing all the way over here, and then you go back, and then eventually the swings just get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. They're still swings, don't get me wrong. It's just they will eventually get smaller.
That's actually really good.
Yeah.
A good way of putting it. And like, that's not to say that the highs are going to be less good, but they feel less good in comparison because the lows aren't as bad.
Exactly.
So that's actually, it's super interesting. And like going up like weird hills like that,
Yeah.
It is so it's so hard to think that you're doing well sometimes. And it is really easy to forget how far you've come. So I do think that it's important to acknowledge how much progress you've made. And like a lot of you, I'm sure, are sort of you might have only just be falling into depression and shit. And I understand. And I'm really sorry if this is like the beginning of your shit mental health. Just every day, look back and see that you've gone an extra day. And that in itself is worth celebrating.
Yeah, to end this, I'd like to just say that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us.
Bro, literally everything is coming together.
I've just become so proud of everyone. Like, the world is difficult and it's hard and it is so beautiful, and no but in between that. The world is hard and the world is beautiful, and I'm proud of it. Yeah.
Everything is everything.
Yeah. And that's valid.
Yeah. So
we're going to end this before I say anything else stupid and cheesy and
just, know that we're proud of you. You should be proud of you. And we're proud of us.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I can't believe, like, life is unreal presently. So.
And we're very, very grateful for it.
We are
very
indeed.
Immensely grateful for it.
Indeed, yes. It's freaking wild, man. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming along. We hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. Don't forget that there is the link to my website with a bunch of petitions and things on it in the description, or you can go thequeerkiwi.com/support. Kat is helping me keep on top of updating that presently.
Yeah, all the links should be updated and present, and I will be adding an what's happening in India page right now.
So keep your eyes out for that. Check back in. Thank you so much for coming along. We love you for the millionth time. Thank you so much for subscribing, and if we are so beyond grateful to have you. So thank you.
You've really changed our lives immensely, and we're so, so grateful for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe next time you see us, we'll be on Spotify too.
Yeah. In the same house.
In the same house.
For longer than like 2 episodes.
Yeah, for longer than 2 weeks. Me and Kat have not lived in the same country since we were 14. We haven't lived in the same city since we were 12.
Let's not get into this. I'm going to start crying.
Bro, no, nothing is real. Life isn't real. We're in a simulation. Look after yourselves.
Take breaks.
Dreams
Actual
can
breaks.
come true. And we love you. Bye. Mwah.